Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha. Uttaram yat samudrasya himadreschaiva dakshinam varsham tad bharatam nama bharati yatra santatihi. The greatness of this land is the most importance is given to the devotion towards the Lord, devotion towards the God, devotion towards the God whom you can imagine in your own way. Some people imagine the form of Vishnu and worship him. Some people imagine the form of Shiva, some the Ganapati, some the Shakti, some of them Kumara. Whatever is the form of the god, they assume they can worship him only by pure devotion. And though lots and lots of religious acts were mentioned, they none of them were important compared to the devotion, and they all need to be performed. If at all, if one could afford to conduct such kind of worship, such kind of religious act, they should do it. If they afford it, they can do it. But even in that act, the devotion is a necessary thing to reach unto the God. So every individual can practice their own way to reach up to the God, and that is the speciality of this land called Bharatavarsha. Welcome to chapter 6 of Skanda Purana under the Maheshwara Khanda and the Kedar Khanda. In the previous chapters, we were seeing how even the great yagna that was performed by Daksha was spoiled because had not invited Shiva, so he was not having a proper devotion towards Shiva. He insulted Shiva, so his yagna was spoiled. Whereas the worship by Nandi, the Vaishya, though it was done with an excellent way, following all the rituals, all the procedures as told in the Vedas, but in spite of the devotion was not sufficient enough compared to a Kirata who was not performing any of the religious act as it is prescribed. He was simply offering the water, and he was simply offering and doing the worship in his own way. But still, because of devotion, the devotion of Kirata was accepted in place of the devotion of Nandi. Of course, at the end, even Nandi was accepted because he was a friend. He had become a devotee of Kirata. Because Nandi became a devotee of Kirata, so Nandi was also accepted. Similarly, in case of Daksha, as long as he was having the ego and he was insulting Shiva, he was rejected. His yagna was spoiled. Only after Veerbhadra cut off his head and put the head of a goat in that place, when he eulogized Shiva, only then Daksha was accepted. So devotion is of the utmost significance. The sages at this point inquired with the Lomasha Maharshi or the Sutta Muni, how did the preeminence of Linga, exclusive of Shiva, came to be established? How the Linga was established? O highly fortunate sage, let this be narrated to us who are eagerly desirous of learning about it. Lomasha continued to tell the story about how the Linga came into the forum. Lord Shambhu wandered about in the forest Daruvana for the sake of begging alms. The sole Lord of the worlds, with quarters of his garments almost being naked, having the cluster of his matted hair loosened, that Lord who can be understood only through the Vedantas, the great Lord, the greatest among leading yogis, the sole supporter of the group of worlds, is greater than the greatest. He is the great Lord of the worlds who exalted dignity. That noble souled Ishvara assumed the form of a mendicant, begged for the alms in the Daruvana forest. At midday, the sages, O Brahmanas, all the sages went to the sacred places for the bath, from their hermitages. So, at the hermitages, at that time, all the wives of those sages were remaining in the hermitage. They came toward Shambhu. On seeing Shambhu, they spoke to one another. Who is this personage of uncommon appearance who has come here in the form of a mendicant? We, along with our friend, shall give him alms. Saying, so be it. They went home and joyously brought various kinds of food as alms. They were fine and delicate. All those Rishipatnis, the wives of the Rishis, were fine and delicate. They offered everything in accordance with their capacity, but with due honor and gentle behavior, with all devotion, they offered it to Shiva. The alms begged for by the trident bearing lord of the Devas were duly given to him. One of the ladies, who was struck with wonder, asked Shambhu, who endeared himself very much to her, who are you, O excessively intelligent one? Why have you come here as a mendicant? This is the sacred hermitage of sages. Why do you not sit here in our hermitage? On being asked thus by her, Shambhu said laughingly, I am Ishvara, O lady, with excellent tresses. I have come to this holy place. On hearing the words of Ishvara or Shiva, the wife of that sage asked him, you say that you are Ishvara or Shiva, O gentle sir of exalted fortune. You are the lord of Kailasa mountain. But, O Lord, how does it happen that you are begging for alms and alone and single? Because they didn't knew what happened to Dakshayani. On being asked thus by her, Shambhu said to her once again these words, I am bereaved of Dakshayani, hence I wander about nude for the purpose of begging alms. O lady of excellent hips, I am free from any wish or desire or any expectation of advantage from anybody. O beautiful lady, without Sati, the wife of Shiva, all the women in the world do not at all appeal to me. I am speaking the truth to you, O lady of large eyes. On hearing the words spoken by him, the lotus eyed lady said, there is no doubt that women really accord pleasure by their touch unto man. Such pleasurable woman, O Shambhu, how you can eschew them by a learned man like you? How you can reject those women when they can offer such a pleasure to you? In this manner, all young women gathered together at the place where Shankara was standing. The alms bowl of Shambhu was filled with cooked food of very good quality. Four types of foodstuffs with all the six states filled his bowl. Then, when Shambhu was desirous of returning to the Kailasa mountain, all those wives of Brahmanas joyously followed him, forsaking their domestic duties. With their minds attached to him, they walked on and on after him. Though they are wives who are supposed to be involved in the domestic acts, because they love Shankara by their heart, one who love God by their heart, they turn to become feminine out of their love. So this story symbolizes that. When all those wives of the sages had left thus, the excellent sages reached their hermitages and found them empty and vacant. They spoke to one another, where have all these women, mean our wives have gone? We do not know by what damned fellow they have objected. I mean, who has objected all of them? Pondering and deliberating thus, they searched here and there. Thereupon they saw that they had been following Shiva. On seeing Shiva, the sages angrily closed in upon him. Standing in front of Shiva, all of them said with impetuosity, "What has been done by you, O Shambhu, who profess to be detached and noble soul? You are no doubt the kidnapper of our wives and others." Although rebuked thus, Shiva silently went on towards his mountain. Then that immutable Mahadeva was overtaken by the sages. Observe here, all the sages knew that he is Ishvara, but they were more of a masculine in nature because of their masculine rashness. Because of that reason, though they recognized Shiva, though they recognized Ishvara, still they cannot accept him and they cannot follow him. Whereas their own wives, being feminine in their heart, they simply followed Shiva out of love because of their femininity and the gentleness. They then all the sages have cursed him thus, "Since you are the objector of our wives." Didn't they know that Shiva was not objecting them? It was only their wives who were following him. But they still ascertained that to the Shiva and they cursed him. "You become instantaneously a eunuch." Thus cursed by the sages, his penis fell down on the ground. As soon as his penis reached the ground, it became very large immediately. It increased in size enormously. At this point of a time, some people may have a bad feeling about this genital organ called penis. So, comparing penis to linga is often ridiculed by many people. Even people who belong to the other religion also ridiculed it. But remember one great thing about the Sanatana Dharma Parampara, that the religion that was grown up in Bharata, it never disrespected any individual organ of a human body. Every individual organ of a human body is important for the individual's survival. Scientifically, without any organ, person will be considered as handicapped and he will be incomplete without that organ. So whether it is be their leg or be their genitals or be there any part of the body, we give equal respect to all the parts of the body and we respect them. While reciting Rudra, in the beginning we say Prajanane Brahma Tishtatu. That means we assume Brahma to be located at where the genitals are there so that we can worship him, because it is true. It is through the penis that the regeneration of life happens. That is why it is highly respected. So, with that respect, let us continue. From beneath and above, the linga covered the seven patalas, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Patala, Talatala, Rasatala. So it covered the seven patalas in an instant. Then it pervaded the entire earth and enveloped the firmament, all the heavens. There were 14 different heavens, so all the heavens were covered. Then it rose beyond the heavens. So the linga rose beyond the heavens at the top and beyond the patalas at the bottom. There was no earth, no quarters, neither water nor fire, neither wind nor ether, neither cosmic ego, ahankara, nor the great principle, Mahat Tattva, neither the unmanifested one, Avyakta, nor the time, no great primordial matter called as Prakriti. There was no dualistic division. Everything become merged in an instant, and because since the entire universe become merged Lina into that linga. That is why it is called as linga of the great Atman. It came to be called so as linga because the whole universe got merged, means which in Sanskrit we call it as Lina. That is why Since the whole universe got merged into that, it is called as Linga. Learned men say that it is called Linga because of Layana, that means the merging of the universe. On seeing such a Linga rising further and further, the celestial sages Brahma, Indra, Vishnu, Vayu, Agni, and the guardians of the quarters and the serpents were filled with surprise in their minds. They spoke to one another. What is the length of this linga? What is its girth? Where is its top? And where is its pedestal? All the suras, devatas who were worried with thoughts like these then said to Vishnu, Devas said, its root must be seen by you, O Vishnu, O lotus born Brahma. Its head must be seen by you. Then you can justifiably be called protectors because Vishnu and Brahma are the protectors which they were assigned with the task of finding the root of that linga and the head of that linga. Vishnu and the lotus born god Brahma, both of whom were gods of exalted fortune, heard this. Vishnu went to the nether worlds, to the Patala Loka, searching for the root, while Brahma went to heaven, searching for the head of that linga. When he reached heaven, Brahma eagerly looked everywhere, but that clever Lord did not see the top of that linga. So the lotus born returned along the path he had gone and reached the top of Meru. There he was seen by Surabhi, the divine cow. She was standing in the shade of a ketki plant and spoke to him in sweet words. On hearing her words, the grandfather of all the worlds, Brahma, spoke laughingly to Surabhi in a deceptive words. Extraordinarily wonderful linga which has pervaded the entire region of the three worlds was seen. I was deputed by Devas to see its top. I am extremely worried as to what I should report in the presence of Devas as the top of that all pervading linga of the noble souled Lord was not seen. Though it is untrue, you should tell Devas that the top of the linga has been seen by me. If all the groups of Devas like Indra and others were to ask you, have you witnessed? You shall, that means the Surabhi shall quickly in this matter, O Devas, there are witnesses. In this matter, O Lady of good holy rites, you do be my witness along with the Ketaki flower. So Ketaki flower will say, yes, it was on the head of Shiva, and Surabhi will be the witness for that. Accepting the suggestion of Brahma, Parameshti, with her head bent down respectfully, Surabhi, in the company of the Ketaki flower, honored it. Arriving thus in front of the Devas, Brahma spoke. Brahma said, I have seen the wonderful top of the Linga. O Devas, it was duly worshipped by me with Ketaki petals. It is large, soft, and spotlessly pure. It is beautiful and fascinating. It is wonderfully lustrous and excessively refulgent. Such a linga was seen by me. Like that, I have not seen anything else anywhere else. On hearing the words of Brahma, Devas were struck with wonder. Even as the groups of Devas, beginning with Indra, stood thus filled with wonder, Vishnu, the Lord of all, the bestower of spiritual illumination, came there from Patala. Immediately he reported to all, although I was eager to see the root, the end of that linga, it has not been seen by me. As I was moving further from Patala, I was struck with the great wonder. I went through Atala, Sutala, Nitala, Rasatala, Patala, Tala, Talatala. Everything appeared empty and void. Even the most vacant places of all was examined well, but it was neither root nor middle nor top. Mahadeva, by whom this universe is sustained, is the one in the form of this Linga. It was due to his grace that you and the sages were born. On hearing his words, Suras and sages honored Vishnu. Then Vishnu spoke thus laughingly to Brahma: O Brahma, the top has been, whether you really saw the top, whether it has been truly seen by you, who are the witnesses you have had in this matter? On hearing the words of Vishnu, Brahma, the grandfather of the world, hurriedly said, Yeah, I do have the witnesses. This Ketaki and Surabhi, O Devas, are the two known witnesses. On hearing the words of Brahma, all Devas hurriedly sent for Surabhi along with Ketaki. The two instantaneously came there for the work of Brahma. Thereafter, Surabhi was asked by Devas, beginning with Indra. He said thus together with Ketaki, Indeed, O Devas, the top of the Linga was seen by Brahma and worshipped with the petals of Ketaki. Even as all of them listened, an ethereal voice was heard from the sky. Understand, O gods, that what is deposed by Surabhi and Ketaki is a false statement. Its top has not been seen by Brahma. And all the Devas, along with Indra and Vishnu, angrily cursed Surabhi, who was intent to utter falsehood. O splendid one, today a lie has been thus uttered by your mouth. Let your mouth be unholy and impure. Let it be excluded from all religious rites. Even though fragrant, O Ketaki, you shall be unsuitable for the worship of Shiva. There is no doubt about it, oh good lady, that you have lied. It is because of that reason, even today, while performing the Shiva Puja, the worship of Shiva, the Ketaki flower is never used during the worship. Then the ethereal voice cursed Brahma, O stupid one, why has this falsehood been uttered childishly by you? Why have you done this? Along with Bhigu, the sages, and the priests, hence you will never be worthy of worship. You will suffer from pain. The sages who ought to be virtuous will be excluded from truthful statements. They will be deluded, engaged in disputes, jealous, and unaware of true knowledge. They will be beggars and worthy of being cut to pieces. They will perpetually ruin their own knowledge. They will boast of themselves. They will be stubborn and will censure one another. That is what become the plight of all the rishis thereafterwards. Thus, Devas, beginning with Brahma as well as the sages, were cursed, all of them cursed by Shiva, sought refuge in the Linga. Thus ended chapter 6 of the Kedar Khanda under Maheshwara Khanda in Skanda Purana, in which we have seen the Linga has pervaded over the entire world. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmir Puravasini Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye. Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha. उत्तरं यत् समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रेश्चैव दक्षिणं वर्षं तद्भारतं नाम भारतीयत्र सन्ततिः. Welcome to all for chapter 8 under the Kedara Khanda of Maheshwara Khanda in the Skanda Purana. In the previous chapter, we have seen the greatness of Shiva and how doing any service in the temple of Shiva will get us nearer to Shiva. Continuing the story, Lomasha the Suta Muni said, O Brahmanas, once there was a great sinner. He was a thief. He was excommunicated from all religious rites. He was a Brahmana slayer, a drink addict, and a thief of gold. He sought the company of excellent women in an illicit way. He was stupid and slow and always engaged in gambling along with gamblers and cunning fellows. Once, while playing, he lost wonderfully a large amount. That is when he was playing some kind of game where people put the money. So where he lost wonderfully a large amount, smashed and hit by the rogues and gamblers. He did not speak anything. So he was harassed and tormented. He quiet. Then that great sinner was asked thus by those people, "You have lost this much wealth in the game of dice. Are you going to give it or not? Oh wicked fellow, let this be told immediately and precisely." Then he said, "What has been lost by me, I shall give at night." Thanks to that statement, he was released by them. Those gamblers and rogues then went away. Then at midnight, he went to the temple of Shiva, climbing on the head of Shambhu. That means he climbed over the Shivalinga, climbing onto the head of Shambhu. He attempted to take the bell. At that time, on the peak of Kailasa, Shambhu said to his servants, "What has been done by this fellow today is far superior to anything done by anyone on the earth. He is the most excellent one among all my devotees, hence he is my great favorite." After saying this, he commanded the Ganas, beginning with Veerbhadra, to bring him the thief gambler to bring him. They hurriedly started from Kailasa, the favorite resort of Shiva. The three worlds were filled with the sound of damarus by all of them. On seeing them, the evil minded thief got down suddenly from the top of the linga and took to his heels immediately. On seeing him fleeing, Veerabhadra called him, "Whom do you fear, O stupid fellow? Maheshwara, the Lord of Devas, has been pleased with you, as he is very liberal minded. Because who other would accept someone who is climbing on the top of his head? That thief was climbing on the top of Shivalinga, and that even that was considered as a devoted act. That is the greatness of Sanatana Dharma in this country, Bharatavarsha, because only here the gods do not have whatever whoever we worship, those gods, they do not have any kind of an ego of their own, and their sole work is to safeguard their devotees. And even the smallest act of devotion by any devotee will take them nearer to the god without requiring any agent who can help them to go to the God. Individually, anyone out of devotion can pray to the God and get nearer to Him. After saying thus and placing him in the aerial chariot, he came to Kailasa. He was made an attendant by that noble souled Lord. Hence, devotion to Shiva must be preserved and cultivated by all embodied beings. Even animals will be worthy of being worshipped thereby. What to say of men on the earth? The followers of Tarkashastra are engaged in abstract reasoning and arguments. So are the followers of Mimamsa school. They go on arguing and disputing among themselves, and there are others who deliberate on and discuss about the existence, nature, etc. of the soul. but never reach any unanimity or reconciliation of their differences. They are excluded from the worship of Shiva because without Shiva, of what significance are all these debates by whom only arguments are forwarded? Of what avail is much talk? All mobile and immobile beings, all animals too, are born bearing the Linga. Just as the Linga is placed and consecrated in conjunction with the Pindi, the globular solid pedestal, so also men are endowed with Lingas and women are endowed with Pindis. Entire here again, the linga and the pindis are associated with the genitals, and that need not have to be looked down upon with disrespect. One need to respect them because it is through those genitals the next life will going to appear. The whole world continue because of the sexual act between a male and the female. For the same reason, in the Bharatavarsha, the even the sexual act is considered as the most sacred one. Even Rishi Munis, they used to involve in the sexual act with their counterparts only at the time when it is needed, just after their menstruation. Entire universe consisting of the mobile and immobile beings is endowed with the union of Shiva and Shakti. Those are foolish fellows who, out of delusion, eschew devotion to such Shiva and worship others. Their dharma is extremely insignificant, perishable, and momentary. He who is Vishnu should be known as Shiva. He who is Shiva is Vishnu alone. Pedestal is the form of Vishnu and Maheshwara is in the form of Linga, means the Panipita is the Vishnu while the Linga is the Maheshwara himself. Hence, the worship of Linga, O Brahmanas, is the excellent for everyone, whether one is a devotee of Vishnu or Maheshwara, because both are same. Brahma worships a ruby linga always. Indra worships a linga made of gems, and Chandra, the moon god, worship a linga made out of the pearl. Bhanu, the sun god, always worships a splendid copper colored linga. Kubera worships a golden linga, and Varuna worship a linga red in color. Yama worships a sapphire linga. Nirarati worships a silver linga. Pavana means the wind god. Always the Vayu, the god Vayu always worships a saffron linga of the Lord. Thus, all guardians of the quarters, including Indra, have been characterized as worshippers of linga. So are all persons in the netherworld and also Gandharvas and Kinnaras. Among Daityas, O Brahmanas, there are certain devotees of Vishnu, the chief of whom was Prahlada. So also among Rakshasas, those having Vibhishana as their leader. So also were Bali, Namuchi, Hiranyakashipu, Vrishaparva, Samhrada, and Bana. These and many other who were the disciples of the intelligent Shukra were engaged. Shukracharya was the guru of all the Danavas. They were engaged in worshipping Shiva. All these Daityas and Danavas were devotees of Shiva. All the following were Rakshasas and they were always engaged in the worship of Shiva. They were Heti, Praheti, Sanyati, Vighasa, Prakasa, Vidyujjihva, Tikshna Dhumraksha of terrible valor, Mali, Sumali, and the extremely terrible Malyavan with Vidyutkesha, the Tadijihva Ravana of great strength, invincible Kumbhakarna, and Vegadarshi of great valor. These were great Rakshasas who were always engaged in worshipping Shiva. After worshipping the Linga formerly, they had always attained Siddhi. A severe penance unbearable to all was performed by Ravana. Then Mahadeva, the Lord of Penance, became much pleased. He granted him boons very difficult to be achieved by all others. Wisdom with perfect knowledge was obtained by him from Sadashiva. He further obtained invincibility in battle and twice the number of heads as those of God Shiva. For Mahadeva had only 5 faces, whereas Ravana had 10 faces. Thanks to the grace of Mahesha, that powerful Rakshasa mean Ravana, defeated the Devas, sages, and by means of his penance and became superior to all. He was made the great king and ruler of Trikuta by Mahesha. He occupied the greatest and the most excellent position or the seat among the Rakshasas. It was for testing the enduring capacity of the sages that he harassed them. Violence towards the sages was indulged in, O Brahmanas, by Ravana, who was himself an ascetic, only because he wanted to test them. That means the Ravana was not well, I mean, Ravana was not creating the problem for the rishis deliberately. He was creating it with an intention to check their endurance because the Ravana himself was a great ascetic. He is a great devotee of Shiva. Ravana, who made the whole world cry and scream, became great and invincible thanks to the grace and favor of Shankara. Another creation was evolved by him. The guardians of the worlds were conquered by that ascetic by means of his valor. Brahma too was subdued by him only through great penance. By becoming the nectar rayed one, he conquered the moon. O Brahmanas, through the power of burning, the fire god was conquered, and Isha means himself was conquered by lifting. That is, Shiva was also conquered by Ravana by lifting up the Kailasa. Indra was conquered by means of his Aishwarya, the power and prosperity. So also Vishnu, the omnipresent one, by worshipping and propitiating the Linga, all the 3 worlds were controlled by Ravana. At that time, all the groups of Suras with Brahma and Vishnu as their leaders gathered together on the top of Meru and began their deliberation and discussion. We have been tormented by Ravana through his penance, very difficult to be performed by the others. O Devas, let this wonderful story be listened to. On the mountain named Gokarna, worship of the Linga itself was performed by that noble souled hero Ravana. What could be known only through knowledge, what could be achieved only through knowledge or knowing, whatever great miracle was there, that which is very difficult to be surpassed by everyone, all these were done by Ravana alone. Ravana had adopted the greatest vairagya or the detachment as well as the liberal mindedness, which is much greater than even vairagya. The feeling of mamata or the mindness was eschewed by the noble souled Ravana. After a period of 1,000 years, that hero of great arms cut one of his own head and offered it with his own hand for the sake of worshipping the Linga. Ravana's body, short of one head, stood in front of it. In the vicinity, it was endowed with yogic dharana, means the steady abstraction, and the greatest samadhi. Fixing his attention deeply on the linga, after about a kala, he cut off another head and worshipped Shiva with it. Such performance of worship was never done by any sage or by anyone else. Thus, many heads were chopped off and offered by him in worshipping Shiva. Again and again he became a headless body. Then Shiva became a bestower of boons, formerly without being myself transformed into a Pindi, O descendant of Pulastya. Choose boons as you please, I shall grant you the same. Then Shiva of greatest auspiciousness was requested by Ravana, if your lordship are pleased, that means if Shiva is pleased towards Ravana, the excellent boon should be given to me. I do not wish to seek any other boon. If you have merciful favor for towards me, you should give me such a boon whereby I always resort to your feet. When Ravana, who made the world cry and scream, was told by Sadashiva, by my favor you will obtain everything mentally desired by you. It was thus, O leading Suras, that everything was obtained by Ravana from Shiva. Hence, this Ravana should be subdued by you all only through great penance. This is what I think. On hearing the words of Achyuta, the groups of devas, beginning with Brahma, became anxious because all of them had been addicted to sensual pleasures. Because here the Ravana was the greatest devotee, he was the biggest sadhaka who had achieved everything through a great penance towards Rudra. So Achyuta, Keshava, or Vishnu explained all these things to the Devas and told them the only way that they can win over Ravana is to become a greater sadhaka or a greater devotee than even Ravana. However, that was not that easy because all the devas, beginning with Brahma, they are addicted to sensual pleasures. Brahma was overpowered by sexual desire and he attempted sexual act with his own daughter. Indra was an adulterer. Chandra defiled the bed of his guru Brihaspati because he kidnapped the wife of his own guru Brihaspati, because Chandra kidnapped Tara, wife of Brihaspati. Yama has been avaricious and stingy. Sadagati, the wind god, has been fickle. Pavaka, the Agni Deva, has been indiscriminate in eating anything and everything. Others among the groups of devas had similar defects, hence, all these were incapable of conquering Ravana, who is a much greater devotee, keeping all his senses under his control, who had become very great by means of his penance. Kailada was an elderly, excellent Gana of the great splendor. He was intelligent and expert in adopting the right course of action, highly powerful and very valorous. He was a favorite of Shiva and was identical with Rudra. The noble souled one asked all of them, led by Indra, why have you all come here in great excitement? Let the whole thing be reported in detail. On being asked by Nandi, all of them hurriedly said, then Devas told him, all of us, along with the sages, have been conquered by Ravana. We have come to propitiate Shiva, the Lord of the lords and Lord of the lords of the world. Lord Nandi laughed and said to Brahma, "Where are you? Where is auspicious Shambhu? And where are you, Brahma?" There is a world of difference between Brahma and Shambhu. By means of great penance, he should be seen seated in the middle of your heart. He cannot be seen today because all the devatas here came to Kailasa with an expectation that they can see Lord Shiva there. But Nandi is telling them, "You cannot see Lord Shiva like that. You need to do a great penance, and you can see Lord Shiva only in the middle of your heart." As long as the emotional attitudes are too many, the objects of senses are plentiful, there is the feeling of mindness. So long, Isha is very difficult to be attained. Shiva in the form of the Linga is easy of access to those noble souled ones who have subdued the senses, are quiescent, and have stabilized themselves in him. He is very difficult to be obtained by you all. Then Brahma and other devas, as well as the learned sages, bowed down to Nandi and said, "Why do you have the face of a monkey? Tell us everything about it. Tell us about the power of penance of Ravana." Because Nandi was having the face of a monkey, so they were asking why you are having that such kind of a face, and also the greatness of the penance done by Ravana. So Nandeshwara replied to them, "Kubera had been made by the noble souled Shankara, the overlord of wealth and assets. Ravana came here to see him riding in his own vehicle. He was in a hurry. On seeing me, he said furiously, 'Did Kubera came here? Was he seen by you here? Let this be told immediately.' He was asked by me, 'What have you to do with Dandaka?' The Dhanada means the Kubera today. So Nandi asked him, what is that you will going to do with Kubera today?" Then Ravana of great splendor, who made the world scream, he said, "At the outset, the Kubera, had been indifferent towards me. He did not care for me. Addicted to sensual pleasures as he is, he has been highly arrogant. He began to teach me, saying, 'O Lord, it should not be done like this. Just as I am endowed with glory and splendor, just as I am rich and strong, so also you do become, O fool. Do not get into delusion and stupidity.'" Because Kubera was preaching to his younger brother Ravana regarding how to become rich and not to involve in any kind of delusion or stupidity. "I have been," means Ravana is telling this, "I have been made a fool and a deluded person by the noble souled Kubera. On being turned out by me angrily, that Guhyaka, mean Kubera, performed penance. Did that Kubera come here, O Nandi, to your abode? Let that Kubera be handed over to me. You need not hesitate in this matter." On hearing the words of Ravana, I hurriedly replied, "You are a Lingaka," means a worshipper of Linga, an exalted one. I too am like that because I also, Nandishvara, also worship the same Linga. Knowing the equality between us, both you are bo- you are rattling in vain, O vicious one, because they both are worshipping the same Linga. They need to respect each other, which the Ravana is not doing. As he was told thus, he, in his arrogance due to his might, asked me about my face in the same manner as I have been asked by you people. The old story was recounted by me about the benefit of the holy rite of the worship of Shiva. Sarupya, having the same form as that of Lord, was granted by Shiva to me, but it was not accepted by me then. The face of a monkey was requested by me from Shambhu. It was then granted to me kindly by Shiva, who is by nature compassionate, because Shiva had offered his own form to Nandi, which Nandi did told him that instead of that he would favor to have the face of a monkey, because if he has the same form as that of Shiva, then in his mind he will assume that he is equivalent to Shiva, and because of that reason, the ahankara, the ego, will develop. And in order to cut that ego, Nandi preferred the face of a monkey. Those who are devoid of false prestige, those who are free from arrogance, and those who have no property or possessions should be known as favorites of Shambhu. Others are excluded by Shiva. Then Ravana said to me, on the strength of my penance, I had been sensible enough to request for 10 heads. So Ravana, filled with ego or ahankara, he was telling to Nandi, saying that out of my strength, I got 10 heads, whereas you, worshipping the same Linga, you simply had got the face of a monkey. At this derisive statement, Ravana, who made the world scream, was cursed by me then, when an excellent man of great penance, accompanied by those who have faces like these, means a day will come when Sri Rama, a great person, an excellent man of great presence, will be accompanied by a great army of the monkeys, the Vanarasena, and with that Vanarasena, that Sri Ramachandra will come and he will going to undoubtedly kill you. Thus, O Brahma, Ravana, who made the world scream, was cursed by me. Only the Linga was worshipped by Ravana without the noble souled Vishnu stationed in the form of the pedestal. O excellent Suras, hence, O excessively fortunate ones, Maheshwara, Mahadeva, the Lord of Devas in the form of Vishnu, will carry out everything. May all of you pray to Vishnu lying within the cavity of the heart of everyone. Therefore, I shall be at the head of all Devas. On hearing the words of Nandi, all of them became joyous in their minds. They came to Vaikuntha and began to eulogize Vishnu by means of good words. Devas said, obeisance to you, the Lord, O Lord of Devas, O Lord of the universe. This entire universe, consisting of mobile and immobile things, has you for its basis and support. This linga has been held by you, O Vishnu, in the form of Pindi, a globular pedestal, in the form of Mahavishnu, the demons Madhu and Kaitaba were killed by you. Similarly, in the form of a tortoise, the Kurma, the Mandara mountain was held up and supported by you at the time of churning of the ocean of her nectar. Assuming the form of a boar, Hiranyaksha was killed by you. Hiranyakashipu, the Daitya, was killed by you by assuming the form of Nrasimha. Bali, the Daitya, was held and bound by you in the form of Vamana. The son of Kritavirya, Sahasrarjuna, was killed by you after taking birth in the family of Bhrigus in the name of Parashurama. It behoves you to protect us instantaneously from the fear of Ravana. On being entreated thus by Devas, the Lord Vasudeva, the sanctifier of all living beings, who is immanent in the universe, said to all those suras, O Devas, let this important statement be heard. It is relevant to this occasion, which Shailadi means Nandi, as your head leader. All of you immediately take incarnations in the form of monkeys. I shall become a human. That means the Vishnu will become a human being enveloped by Agnana, the ignorance. I shall be born in Ayodhya in the abode of Dasharatha for the attainment of your objectives. I am having Brahmavidya, the knowledge of Brahman, as my assistant Sita. This is basically because Ravana has requested for a boon where he expected that he cannot be killed by devas or yakshas, asuras, or anybody. At that time, he completely ignored the human beings because he considered human beings as too inferior who could able to kill Ravana. However, once finding the loophole here, Vishnu told all the devas that he will take the form of a human, and because he take the form of a human, he will deliberately be filled with agnana or the ignorance. He lived like a human being. He will going to suffer everything like a human being, and at that time, Brahmavidya will become his assistant in the form of Sita. Brahmavidya herself will be born in the abode of Janaka. In fact, Ravana is my devotee as he is directly engaged in the meditation on Shiva because there is no difference between Shiva and Vishnu. When a man endowed with great penance desires for Brahmavidya, can be easily managed and won over by means of virtue. Because when a person is behind Brahmavidya, looking for various kinds of debate and other things, because they follow the Gnana Marga, they lose the devotion towards the God, and thereby they will be captured by their senses, and it will be easier for those people to get vanished. Vali was born of a part of Indra. Sugriva was the son of sun god. Jambavan, the leading rickshaw or the bear, was born of a part of Brahma. Nandi, the son of Shilada, who was a favorite follower of Shiva, incarnated as the great monkey Hanuman for rendering assistance to Vishnu of unmeasured splendor. The monkeys, beginning with Mainda, were all the excellent suras. Thus, all suras incarnated in a befitting manner. Similarly, Vishnu was born as one who increased the delight of Kausalya. He is called Rama by learned men because he pleased and gratified the entire universe. Due to his devotion to Vishnu, Kesha descended on the earth by means of the power of his penance. The mighty arms of Vishnu incarnated as the valorous princes named Shatrughna and Bharata, well renowned in the three worlds. She who was mentioned as Brahmavidya by the expounders of the Vedas incarnated as the daughter of the ruler of Mithila for the fulfillment of the task of Suras. She was born from a furrow arising from the plowing of the field with a plowshare. Hence, she became known famous as Sita. She was the science of metaphysics personified. Hence, she was born in Mithila. She is called Maithili. She was born in the family of Janaka. Hence, she is well known as Janakatmaja, Janaki. This Brahmavidya, the destroyer of sins, was formerly also known as Vedavati. She was given by Janaka himself to Vishnu, the Supreme Soul. Along with her, the Vidya incarnated Vishnu, the greatest among the auspicious ones, the Lord of Devas, the Lord protector of the universe, became engaged in a severe penance. as he was desirous of defeating Ravana for the sake of the fulfillment of the task of Devas. The lotus-eyed Rama stayed in the forest. Through the great incarnation of Shesha, Lakshmana performed an exceedingly difficult penance by means of his great Shakti power for the sake of the fulfillment of the task of Devas. Shatrughna and Bharata too performed very great penance. Rama, who was thus endowed with the power of penance and was assisted and accompanied by those groups of devas, killed Ravana along with his followers within 6 months, killed by Vishnu by means of weapons. O sages of holy rites, he attained Sarupya having the same form as the god. Ravana attained Sarupya of Shiva along with his kinsmen and followers. By the grace of Shiva, he became realized the entire Dvaita. Even the sages are deluded in the matter of discrimination between dualism and non dualism. Men who are engaged in worshipping Shiva derive all those things. They achieve both the dualism as well as the non dualism, known as Dvaita as well as Advaita. Those who continuously worship Shiva in the form of Linga, whether they be women or Shudras or Kandalas or other low caste people, do attain Shiva, the destroyer of all miseries. Even animals have attained the Supreme Lord. What then to say about human beings, the twice born caste Dvijas, who have practiced great penance, observing the vow of celibacy, and who have performed yajnas for many years, have attained Swarga. There are many yajnas such as Jyotistoma, Vajapeya, Atidratra, and so on. These yajnas undoubtedly do bestow heavenly pleasures on those who perform them. After enjoying the heavenly pleasures, when their merits become exhausted, those sacrificers come back to the mortal world. Having descended to the world, they are born in the different species with their intellect of the nature of the three gunas of sattva, rajas, and tamas. Thus, many souls wander about in the cycle of birth and death. By chance or as good luck would have it, some of them serve Shiva. Instantaneous removal of Maya takes place in the case of men who are engaged in regular meditation on Shiva and who have restrained their minds and not otherwise. When Maya is dispelled, the three gunas perish. Then a person transcends the three gunas, gunatita, trigunatita, and becomes liberated thereby. Hence, the worship of Linga should be thought of and pursued by all embodied beings. Shiva assumes the form of Linga and protects all mobile and immobile beings. Formerly, I have been asked by you about how Shiva assumed the form of Linga. Everything has now been truthfully spoken by me, O Brahmanas. How Shiva, the great Lord of the world, swallowed poison, mean the hala, 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 may be listened to in the following chapter. O Brahmanas, I shall recount it to you as it actually plays. Thus ended chapter 8 under the Kedar Khanda of Maheshwara Khanda in the Skanda Purana. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puramasini Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.